Hello and welcome back to this series. In this video, we are going to be talking about class attributes and method. Now, like we said in this video, the instance attributes are these attributes that are defined here and also the normal methods that are defined in the class, and that these methods and attributes can be used by the objects of the class. Now, let's talk about class attributes and method. So here I'm going to create an attribute and I'm going to call it phone number. So, and I'm going to set it to a random phone number, maybe plus 234 123 anything. Now, this attribute here also belongs to this class, but this time around, it is general to all the users of this class. So whether you are person 1 or person 2, right, your phone number is this. So I'm going to come back here to uncomment this attributes that we were printing. And remember that when you print person 1.height, it gives you something different. Person 2.height also gives you something different. So I'm going to change the both of them to phone number now. And now, if we print this, we'll see that we have the same for both of them. So class attributes are defined at the root of the class, and it is not defined in the init function. So the value of class attributes is general to all of the objects of the class. Okay, that is how to use class attributes. Now, the next idea or the next concept you're going to look at is class method. So what is class method? Well, the class method is just an opposite of instance method. So this class method is not working on the variables that are created that are peculiar to the individual members of the class. It is working on the variable that is general to the entire class. So here we are going to define a class method, and it's the same way we define our normal method. So I'm going to call it new method. And so let's say I want to just format the phone number for the individual members of the class. Remember that this phone number is general to everyone, but this time around, I want it to be different. I want it to come out different for individual members that meet a certain condition, right? So now, how do we define a class method? So I'm going to call it new method, and I'm going to open and close and write my colon. Now, but when you are defining a class method, there is something we call decorators when it comes to Python object-oriented programming. And one of the decorators that we are going to use is the class method decorator. So what does this decorator do? It tells Python that this method that you're going to see right under you is a class method. So it is working on a class attribute. Okay, so how do we write it? We just write the @ symbol and then we write this class method, right? So this new method that we just created here has now been defined as a class method. Okay, so now what do we want to do with this class method? Well, the first thing, when we were working with instance attributes, we passed in a data, and this data we called it self. So, and this self is a general term for this instance attribute. So for the class attribute, we want to pass in a general name for this method for the variables that we are going to be accessing on this method. We are going to call it class. So CLS for class. Now I'm going to change this, my number, or this number here is not my number, please. So I want to format this number here to print in a certain way if the object of the class that is accessing this phone number meets a certain criteria. Okay, so I want to return class dot. So as you can see, we have this phone number. So I can also pass in other arguments that I want that do not have anything to do with this attributes here. So I can pass in maybe name and then pass in weight. Okay, so and I could modify this class attribute here to something that is general to humans. So I can maybe height. Okay, we already have height here. So this time around, I'm going to change this height to maybe something else. So I'm going to remove it entirely. So let's say we want to calculate the BMI of the individual. So right now, I'm going to set it to, well, 50, right? So let's say 5.5 feet. Okay, so I'm going to remove this because we no longer need to use this height attribute here. So I'm going to remove all of this. And now I'm going to remove this as well. Now, for this class method, what do I want to do with this height? So from the best of my knowledge, if you want to calculate the BMI of an individual, what you can do is to divide the weight of the individual with the height. Okay, so now I am going to say that, well, for every individual, that the height is that value, and that you'll be given the name and the weight. Okay, so what you can do for us is please calculate the BMI. So I'm going to say that BMI is equals weight divided by class.height, and then we are going to return the name and the BMI, right? So now we are going to return these two things for each individual. So now you can see that we are having some arguments that we did not pass here, and then we are having the general arguments, and we are going to make it peculiar to any person that we create. So this time around, we can come here and create our persons again. So I will say person one, and so I'm going to call that class name, and then I'm going to call the method, so new method. So what do I need for this new method? I need a name. And what name do I need? So I will just say, well, Joy. And then what is Joy's weight? So Joy's weight is probably maybe 40. So, and I'm going to print person one. So now I'm going to clear our terminal. So now we have the Joy and Joy's BMI returned for us on the screen. So that is how you can use class methods and attributes are general to the entire class, and class methods are general to the entire class too, right? But you can see now that this BMI has the other parameter that we passed in has affected this height that is general to all of them. So if I create another person, again person two, and call the new method, or the second person, give the second person another name, maybe Faith, and this time around Faith's weight is just 30. So and print the second person's information. So I'm going to print person two. So now you can see they have different figures for their BMI. So even though the height is general, but their weights are different, and the effect of this height has been altered according to their weights. So now this is how you can use class methods in your program. I hope you understand this very well. And if there are questions, you always reach out to us through our mentorship platform. So thank you so much for watching this video, and see you in the next one.